I believe that we have soul contracts. I believe that we chose our parents to be able to get ourselves on the highest timeline that we could get ourselves on. And it's not always sunshine and rainbows. And on the flip side, it's also not always sunshine and rainbows for them, like raising you as a kid. Like, I mean, I remember like going back to my childhood, I didn't have an easy time with my parents, but I was their oldest son. And I also can imagine that there were times where it was challenging for them to raise me. They're like, what the hell am I going to do with Ben? And I was going through school. I was struggling with school. It wasn't for me. I didn't fit in the school system. And we have teachers, counselors, principals coming from the school and going to my parents like, hey, we're having issues with Ben. Ben is disruptive in our classes. He does not get along with the other kids. And all of that was, I mean, evident. Like for me, for them, like I didn't have friends growing up going to school. I didn't like the other kids. I didn't fit in with the other kids. I didn't feel like I was like them. Like I would go into kindergarten and I remember every morning in kindergarten, I would bring a newspaper to school. And I was a basketball fan. I liked NBA basketball. And I would read the standings and the scores of the previous night of NBA basketball. This was before cell phones and ESPN apps where you could just score. Okay, this team
There
won.
wasn't that in the 90s. There wasn't cell phone.
I know, right? Well, for me, school was the early 2000s. Kindergarten was the early 2000s.
How old are you?
I'm 30 years old.
Yeah.
And I would bring the newspaper to school in kindergarten. I did not know how to read yet because I hadn't learned how to read. I learned how to read, I believe, in first grade. But I was able to memorize the 3-digit codes of like the cities of each basketball team. So I knew the Warriors were GSW, the Lakers were LAL, the Clippers were LAC, the Dallas Mavericks were DAL. It was the 3-letter city codes that I could memorize. So I could identify the standings based off of the numbers. W is the win column, L is the lost column. And I also got to like kind of understand the patterns. It's like, okay, Bryant and the number of points is Kobe. Iverson and the number of points is Allen Iverson. How many points did Kobe have? How many points did Allen Iverson have? O'Neal is Shaq. How many points did Shaquille O'Neal have? And like I could just go and like read the box scores and read the standings. And I'm in kindergarten and I'm interested in that. And the other kids, like, they want to play pretend shit with toys. Like, oh, okay, like my Barbie's riding an airplane or whatever it is. It's like, okay, that's like your imagination. Like, I'm not here to pretend. Like, it just wasn't for me when I was growing up. And I didn't fit in at all. And looking back at it, I sit there and I think it's like, is that the goal? Like, are we meant to fit in? Or are we meant to just be ourselves? And it's interesting to think about because what do your parents think about that? And I think that a part of them is like, hey, we want Ben to have friends. We want Ben to fit in because those are the societal norms. And that is what, like, and they now think about it as parents, they may want to fit in with the other parents who have kids that are their age. Like you sit there and you think about like a community, right? Mm-hmm. You move into a community, you live in a community, there are other people there, other families there, they have kids, right? Like the parents are part of the community. Like, hey, our kids go to school together. Yeah. And I remember my parents weren't really a part of the community. Like they weren't really close with any of the other parents, like family friends. And I remember really just struggling to like connect with people. And as I progressed through school, up until like whatever inflection point I had to where I ended up getting kicked out of middle school and struggling in high school and going through all these things, like it could not, like, I can now look at things and understand that it likely wasn't easy for my parents raising me as a child. And I can honor that. And I can also honor myself and know that, like, for me, it wasn't easy being raised by my parents in the way that I was raised. But I can take a look at things and see it's like, hey, they did the best they could within what they knew and the capacity that they had as parents.
That's really good. That's really interesting because, I would spend so much time thinking of like, I guess playing victim. I spent a lot of my life playing victim. And even now I think I play victim. And I think you just called it out because you go, well, how was it like for them raising me? And it's not about like shifting blame or being like, I was a bad kid or I was this or I was that. But I think it's really important to look at other people's perspective and seeing how did you affect them. Even if they're your parents, they're still people, right? Like, I think oftentimes, I'll speak for myself. I think oftentimes I expect my parents to be perfect and amazing and everything I wanted them to be and so on and so forth. And I huff and I puff and I go, well, if they were like this and I would have been like this. And well, if they did this and I would feel safe. And it's like, at what point do you take responsibility and accountability for your life in a way that honors your parents and it honors yourself and it honors your growth process? And like, to your point, it's like you chose your parents, right? If you want to go down the spiritual path, you chose your parents. If you don't believe in that, it's still your responsibility to overcome it. And I think the beautiful thing is, I mean, I'll reference Tony Robbins again because he has a few powerful quotes that really stuck out to me. He's like, if I had the mother that I wanted, I wouldn't have become the man that I'm proud of. Right? And I think oftentimes it's the journey of becoming the person that we wish we would have had growing up or the person that we're proud of is the most satisfying thing,
The journey of becoming the person we wish we had growing up.
Yeah.
That's fucking powerful.
Yeah. Thank you.